How much is $1 worth to you? Is it the old axiom, is a dollar is a dollar is a dollar? Or does a dollar have more inherent worth than what is readily apparent? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, Daniel here, and welcome to Next Level Life, a channel where you can learn all about investing, debt, retirement, and many other financial topics besides, because let's face it, the schools aren't going to teach it for us. So if any of those topics sound interesting to you, or if you want to learn how to better handle your money and have more financial freedom, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell next to my name to be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you want to further support the growth of this channel, you can check out some of the links I've left down in the description below, which includes a 30-day free trial of Audible and 2 free audiobooks of your choice, as well as a list of some books on money that I'd recommend checking out. Or you can share this video with a friend and leave a comment below letting me know what topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. So how much is a dollar worth? Well, that's a silly question, you might say. It's worth $1. Well, yes, that is the face value, but I would actually argue that a dollar could be worth more than $1. Because in my opinion, and you may disagree here and that's fine, but I think there's more to money than just the face value. And today I'm going to explain my reasoning behind that. So how can a dollar be worth more than $1? Well, there is the mathematical way and then there is the lifestyle way. And we're going to look at both of them today. I'm sure you're all familiar with the concept of compounding interest, right? I've covered it before on this channel already. But basically, compounding interest is so powerful because when you put $100 into an investment or a bank, or anywhere that pays you interest, and you earn, just for simple figuring here, say 10% a year, that means that after 1 year you would have made $10 in interest, and you would therefore have $110 in total. And if we assume that whatever investment or bank you put the money into performed roughly the same the following year, you would make another 10% on that money, except that that 10% return would be based off $110, not the original $100. So you'd actually make $11 in interest in year 2, and so on and so forth. What this means for us is that as long as we still have time between now and when we wish to retire, or whenever we wish to pull the money out of whatever investment we put it in, then there is a good possibility that every dollar we put towards our retirement nest egg, or whatever nest egg, is actually going to be worth more than $1. Now, of course, some investments are more volatile than others, and sometimes they do lose value, but even something perceived to be as volatile as the stock market is tends to go up more often than it goes down. So that's why I say there's a good possibility of the value increasing beyond the original dollar. And if we take that previous example a little further, say if you put $1 into an investment making 10% per year today, it would be worth $1.10 in 1 year, $1.21 in 2 years, $2.59 in 10 years, $6.73 in 20 years, and if you're lucky enough to be investing pretty young, say in your 20s, it could be worth as much as $45.26 in 40 years. And in that 40th year, that $1 original investment would have actually, because of compound interest, earned you roughly $4.11 in interest. This is of course why it's important to start investing early, because every year you wait to invest, what you're really losing is not that first year's worth of interest, it's that last year's worth of interest. For example, if you're 25 and you want to retire at 65, but you wait to invest until you're 26, then your investments are only compounding for 39 years, from age 26 to 65, which means you would lose that interest that you made in your 40th year that we just talked about, that $4.11 per dollar invested, which on its own is almost 9.3% of the total growth. So clearly, it's easier to grow your net worth to a large sum if you have more time for it to compound. In fact, given that previous example where we assumed a 10% average rate of return over the course of 40 years, you would only need to invest a little over $22,000 40 years before you retire in order to have $1 million when you retire. Now obviously $1 million 40 years from now isn't worth $1 million today because you have to account for inflation, but you get the idea. And it's what makes this whole idea of coasting financial independence possible. For the record, it works the same way with paying off debt, right? Because our interest on our debts compound the exact same way that interest from our investments compound. And each dollar we put towards paying off our debts lowers the principal on which that interest is compounding. And depending on what type of debt you're paying off, your rate of return on each dollar might be 3% or 5% for something like student loans or car loans, or maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 18%, if not higher, for something like credit card debt. But regardless of what the interest rate is, by lowering the principal by $1, you're no longer paying interest on that dollar. Say, again, just to make the numbers easy, you had a $1,000 loan that you had to pay off within the next year. If you put an extra dollar towards that debt in the first month, it would save you 5 cents in interest over the course of that 1 year loan, assuming a 5% interest rate. Which is really minuscule, I understand. I mean, we're talking about a nickel here. But do you see the point I'm trying to make? That dollar lowers the principal by the full $1 and saved you 5 cents in interest payments, which means that dollar was effectively worth $1.05 to you. But like I said, I'm pretty sure most of you know what compounding interest is, and therefore you know how a dollar can, mathematically anyway, be worth more than $1, assuming you invest it over time or use it to pay down your debts. But what I want to briefly touch on in this video is the other side of that coin. As many of my fellow members in the financial independence retired early community will know, there is so much in this world that is so much more important than having money. As I've said before, money is only as good as what you can do with it, and unfortunately most of what we actually tend to spend our money on isn't really worth the money in the first place, as I've covered in my previous video on what a budget is really trying to teach you. And once you understand the message behind that video, money takes on a whole new level of value for you, because a dollar becomes worth so much more than a dollar when you spend so much fewer dollars in order to live your dreams. For example, shortly after I graduated from college, I took a trip around the United States for not too much more than $1,000. I got to see so many things and meet so many great people for that $1,000 that by the end of it, it ended up being worth, to me, a heck of a lot more than $1,000. Not only because I had those great experiences, mind you, although yes, those on their own would have been worth the money, but also because of what it taught me about the value of money and budgeting, which was basically the idea of priorities. I will give up 1,000 frappuccinos, if not more, in order to get one more cross-country trip. Or, in my case, I'll probably be going overseas next time. And because of that realization, I almost never waste money on stupid things anymore. Because I know what is and what is not worth spending money on, for me. But I never would have been able to realize that without those first $1,000. To be perfectly honest, I couldn't even begin to tell you how much money that has saved me over the course of my life. But I can tell you this much. It's a heck of a lot more than $1,000. Therefore, by definition, every single one of those $1,000 had to be worth at least a little bit more than the $1 face value the government has assigned them. But that'll do it for me today. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell next to my name so you'll be notified of all my future uploads. I generally upload every single Monday, and if you have a friend who would be interested in this kind of content, be sure to share it with them. Let's really get this information out there and start our own financial revolution.